Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami Ishtar, Kali, Mammy, and Mother Mary. Well, welcome to Great Mother Speaks. I'm Tammy Taylor, your manifestation muse, and today we're talking about
your Great Mother Speaks March full moon reading. This full moon is in Leo. It is a very powerful full moon. It is the full moon that marks the halfway place of this eclipse season. This is the halfway mark, the pinnacle, the arc, the climax of this season. And we pay attention to the eclipse season here with the lunar readings from Great Mother, our still small voice, that intuition, what we know, because this channel is all about aligning our emotion, that Western astrology, that how we feel energy with the intuitive energy. And in order to do that, we do have to be aware of the difference. So the difference is the emotional heart below energy. That is about survival. That is about the continuum between fear and love, pain and joy. So that kind of relay system from the heart below chakras to the heart above chakras, which are the intuitive realm. It's the realm of the soul. Now, all of our chakras contain the yin and the yang, and so that's what the readings get into. They get into how we are supported energetically throughout these purification seasons, which are what ecliptical seasons are. This one right now with Leo in the North Node and Aquarius in the South Node has to do with following our hearts, that Leo energy, that Great Father energy ruled by the Sun, at the expense or with the group thought as an afterthought. So following one's heart, doing what you want to do first as a priority, and then considering the needs of others is really what this energy is about. It's about us being supported in pursuing what it is our heart, that crossroads between the ego and the soul, wants to do in this lifetime. And so there's been a lot of energy supporting that. Have all of us done a beautiful job at exhibiting that and at communicating that to one another? Perhaps not necessarily, but it's all in divine order, and that's what we focus on here. We focus on our divinity. 3 primary concepts: that we are divine children of the Great Mother, Father, God. The second is that we are therefore never condemned or judged. And finally, we are never left alone. There's always guidance along our path. We use the analogy of the Wizard of Oz to exemplify this. They are black and white cards, symbolizing the yin and the yang, the Great Father energy of the Sun and the Great Mother energy of the Moon, that darkness, that still small voice, that black void of the cosmos, and the Sidereal astrology, which is where Cancer is in the North Node, or Rahu at this time, and Capricorn is in the South. This is very important to know. The Great Mother, Great Father nexus that we're working with is extremely powerful. It has to do with the transition from the Piscean age to the Aquarius age. We are letting go of Aquarius energies that no longer serve us, and we're moving more into Aquarian energies that have to do with personal, individual spiritual expression. And so this ecliptical season is a series of ecliptical seasons that will usher in the Aquarius age in earnest. Great Mother is the Moon, which rules Cancer, the North Node in the Sidereal. The Sidereal astrology is the soul astrology, and this is where you hear me refer to the double houses. So, for example, if you are Leo, then more than likely your sidereal sign is Cancer, unless you're about the 5th of the people that exist that have both. Leo, etc., etc. If you want to double check, be sure to do so at the links below. While you're there, I would also like you to take a look at the Mama Drama Trauma channel. It's just getting up and going. The website is coming soon. But for those of you who are the majority that are here out of the work that I do with Mama Drama Trauma and how Great Mother came through to create this deck and to create this work to heal Mama Drama Trauma. I would really appreciate your critiques and your feedback. The channel and the website that's coming is going to be a resource for you to be able to identify, for you to be able to assess, and to get the materials that you need to support your healing of this condition. Mama Drama Trauma is a condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and/or physical trauma. In cases where she's unable, unwilling, or unavailable to heal, loving detachment is required. Loving detachment is the basis of these readings. And with these readings, we're looking at energies as impersonal energies that support divine beings, our experience. The black and white world of yin and yang is the world of infinite probabilities. It is the world, the source and center of all things. It also symbolizes the farm where Dorothy came from and from which she returned. The yellow brick road, or the rainbow world, technicolor world, is the world of reality and illusion in which we descend into in order to have experiences that evolve our soul. For Mama Drama Trauma, for example, the life lesson for soul evolution is self-love and spiritual independence. Every full moon and new moon is an opportunity to work with energies in order to achieve that here with Great Mother Speaks. For this full moon in Leo, this is the counterbalance of the Leo sun that was active during the total solar eclipse back in August. Although this is not an eclipse, it marks the halfway mark because we have up to this point had the total solar eclipse in August. Before that, the season started in earnest with a partial lunar eclipse at the beginning of August, whose moon was in Aquarius. And we have just had a partial solar eclipse whose moon was in Aquarius. But before that, there was a total lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses are always during the full moon. They are cleansing, purification moons. And solar eclipses pull shadows to show us what needs to be looked at. So just this past February 15th, just recently, 2 weeks ago, you might want to check out what Great Mother was saying to you about the shadows that were being pulled out for you. That moon was in Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Capricorn in the Sidereal, and Aquarius, Pisces in the Western. So it was pulling up shadows for us that had to do with that transition from the Aquarius to the Pisces age. Capricorn in the South Node in the Sidereal is a soul indication that now as we are moving into lighter, more soulful energies of Pisces and the Aquarius genius energy of individual expression, which is a higher expression than Leo, but in the South Node and the Western, it's a balancing of paying attention too much to this physical world and being able to relax in the reality of our divinity. If that sounds like a little bit too much, let's unwrap it here and let's talk a little bit more about the rainbow world in which we exist. It's full of planets, it's full of chakras that assist us in the centrifugal forces of these energies in our bodies that ground our soul energy here. What I'm going to do is pull a card for each sign. This is going to be an indication for you of how Great Mother is working with you this March full moon. This halfway mark has to do with this energy going more into self-expression, heart expression, and releasing the group on an ego level, and deeper going into the Cancer, Rahu, North Node level of using that individual expression to be more caring, to have more solidly grounded homes, solidly grounded mothering, self-care, and releasing the need for so much order and so much structure that is resisting or blocking our ability to do so. For your sign, there's going to be a different message that Great Mother comes to you about this particular halfway mark. Because as we move into the rest of the season, which ends in November, we have one more total lunar eclipse in July, and we have a partial solar eclipse in August, closing things out. Now, the season began in earnest back in May of 2017. What was happening for you 9 months ago? An eclipse season is 18 months, so we're at that 9-month mark. What was happening for you and perhaps to you May of last year? Collectively, Venus had just left Aries, and it had been in Aries back and forth with Pisces in retrograde for a couple of months. And when it finally left, a lot of us had come to a realization about some things that we perhaps had known, but the truth was going to take us some time to process, particularly in the areas of personal relationships and what our personal needs were. This was the entry point into this Cancer Leo North Node energy that started in earnest with the lunar eclipse at the beginning of August in Aquarius. What this means is that as the nodes shifted from Virgo Pisces, ordering our emotions into being clear about those emotions, and the purification, which opened up this eclipse season back in August, was purifying what was from the previous eclipse season that needed to be clarified in terms of our spirituality, in terms of our higher knowing, in terms of what we knew we needed in order to have internal balance. And so as this eclipse season opened, I want you to kind of think about where you were with that. Because now, since the shadows have been revealed and purified throughout this eclipse season, be sure to watch the first quarter video for this year, January through March, if you haven't been keeping up with what's going on, because the second quarter videos are about to be released for April through June. See what Great Mother was saying to you at the beginning of this year with regard to where you are now. Because this reading, this halfway mark reading, is very important. It is the reflection of what the cleansing period has been coming up to this point of self-clarity, of self-desire, how to use that in mature and loving ways for yourself and for your home, which is the foundation of outward expression, that Aquarius energy, okay? With now the supportive energies being available for us to implement and to manifest our will from that foundation. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, Capricorn Moon people. Welcome to your March Leo full moon reading. This is about your second, third, eighth, and ninth house. This is where you are feeling the support from the cosmic realm, the planets, the yin-yang energies, Great Mother, Father God, Great Father God. The sun rules Leo, and it is in Leo in both the Sidereal and in the Western right now, and that is your ninth and eighth houses. You are Capricorn in the tropical, and that makes you Sagittarius in the Sidereal. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Which is where Saturn is right now in the Sidereal. And Capricorn, of course, is in your first house of this general reading. General readings place your moon sign in the first house, so I do encourage a personal reading to get a more precise accounting of what Great Mother is saying to you individually, because your moon sign might actually be in your third, fifth, or sixth house. We have to get those houses in order, don't we? So looking at your first house being in Capricorn, Sagittarius, Sidereal, that would make this Leo moon in your Sidereal from Sagittarius in your ninth house. And so on a soul level, that is higher knowing. It's higher wisdom. It's your soul tapping into its spirit, its very essence. And so you are getting very high level frequency downloads from your soul at this time with the Sagittarius being where Saturn is at this time as well. And so there's a big spiritual refinery going on within your very essence of your celestial collective unconsciousness. Whew, that's a lot. You are intuiting all of this stuff right now. And from your 8th house, your tropical, from Capricorn, the Leo, you're undergoing a rebirth as a result. So this is the benefit of getting those houses in order, is to read through the signs and the symbols and these tea leaves to get to exactly where the supportive energies are for you to feel like a divine child of the Great Mother, Father, God, to know that you are never condemned or left alone. And working with these energies is only possible if we know what they are and kind of where they are at this particular time and place. At this particular time and place, you Capricorn Moon people are approaching this Leo Moon with a feeling, with an attitude, with a great inner awareness of rebirth. You know already that you're undergoing a process of rebirth. What? I'm not telling you nothing. You know, this eclipse season has been horrendous. It has been stupendous because you are actually sacrificing something in your life right now. It is particularly perhaps your own identity, how you have been defining yourself, how you have been identifying yourself, maybe with your tribe, maybe with your family, maybe there have been some real deep changes. And so this kind of energy has made you reestablish your values, redefine and refine what you treasure in your life, because the sun is in Aquarius Pisces. This is your 2nd house. And so that is your values, your money, what you spend your energy and your resources on. And so there has been some sacrifice with regard to that, because the sun, that full moon light being reflected on that Leo moon, is pulling out issues of your values, pulling out issues of what really matters to you. And you've really had to pare that down, Capricorn Moon people. And that is how you're approaching this full moon, with that full awareness that, yeah, I know I've had to pare it down. And you know that because you're coming off of that partial solar eclipse, that new moon that we just had February 15th, which was in Cancer Leo. Okay, I'm sorry, that is where the total lunar eclipse was. Excuse me, it was in Cancer Leo. We're going to get to that in a minute. But the partial solar eclipse for you was in Capricorn Aquarius Pisces. That was a cusp moon in the Western Aquarius Pisces. That was in your 2nd and 3rd houses. And so that value, shadows came out about what you really cared about and how you were communicating those values to other people. And that really came up for you about 2 weeks ago. And so since that time, you've gone through the beginning of this lunar cycle, planting new seeds based on the clarification that you received during that total lunar eclipse, January 31st, which was in your 8th and 2nd houses. And so that was in your 8th house where the moon was in Cancer Leo, that rebirth. And so you were undergoing a tremendous emotional rebirth. You were undergoing a rebirth that really had to do with what you were intuiting about your home. Your soul was really wanting to connect with your family, your birth family, people close to you in a genuine way. And your emotional response to that was that you were wanting to creatively express who you were in ways that maybe you haven't done in the past. And the sun that was being reflected on that was in Capricorn Aquarius, the South Node. And so your values were old. Okay, at the end of January, the things that you were valuing and the things that you thought were important, you found out in that total lunar eclipse that they needed to be updated. They needed to be revised. And it came as somewhat of a shock to you. And so we're revisiting that energy with this Leo full moon in your 8th house from Capricorn, and the sun in your 2nd house with this Aquarius sun energy that has the Pisces in the Western. So again, this emotional sun and this Aquarius sun in the Sidereal, which is a very healing sun energy because it's in the nakshatra of Shabisha, and that is the moniker of 100 doctors. So the sun is shining a light on your values, this time in a very healing way. And you want to look at those prior readings to see what nakshatras and energies were active before. Very active eclipse season. You are approaching this full moon with I'm being reborn. Great Mother saying the transformative opportunity for you is to surrender to this rebirth. You have been through it. You have arrived at a place in your journey where you are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And so she's saying, trust it. That is exactly what you're seeing. That is exactly what you are approaching. And you may be a little tired at this point. If that's the case, take a rest. Take a breather. It's fine. She's right there with you. You're not losing your mind. You are not being insensitive or uncaring to others. If you need to take a break and to really get back into your heart space, this is the heart chakra first quarter moon card. And so the heart is the crossroads between the ego and the soul. And the first quarter is making choices, decisions to face challenges. And being reborn or bringing something new into the world is definitely a challenge. It is a very fragile process, and when we are being reborn, we do have to really approach ourselves and approach our bodies and our emotions in a very delicate manner, because we do want to be in touch with our intuitive guidance to see things through to fruition. What Great Mother doesn't want you to overlook, Capricorn Moon people, is that whatever self-doubts may be emerging as a result of this rebirth process are emerging to remind you that you are creating a new reality for yourself, and as a result, you are giving up things. Again, that 8th house energy that is present in your sidereal, where the energy is actually you know, you are you are recreating yourself. You know, that 8th house energy, that rebirth, you're being reborn. You are that 8th house energy, that 8th house energy of being reborn. You are creating yourself anew. And so when you do that, that means that you are giving up something in order to create the space for something new to come into your life. And Great Mother doesn't want you to overlook that. There is an exchange of energy that's taking place, and it's 2nd chakra for you right now, because the Ankh symbolizes the 2nd chakra in the Great Mother Speaks deck. And the 2nd chakra is the place of our desires. It is the place of our genuine relationships that we create with others outside of our birth family environment. And there may be some doubts about that. There may be some challenges with regard to that. And Great Mother is saying that that's all part and parcel of being reborn. So don't start to second guess or to doubt yourself and your ability to determine what is right and what is good for you. What is happening is that as you surrender and you rest, the process is just perhaps taking a little longer than maybe you anticipated. You probably thought you had more energy. You probably thought you had more resources than you actually have to see yourself through, but you are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what she wants to remind you of. You are seeing the end result, and the doubts that you have about that are just a part of the process. Ask for the help, ask for the guidance that you need from your angels, guides, and ancestors. You will receive it. What is in the shadow? What's in the background? What is that inconvenient truth? What is that thing that you probably know but you don't want to admit about yourself or about the situation? Is that you are afraid to act on your intuition. You are beginning to do that. The transformational opportunity is for you to surrender into that. And so, yes, with this 8th house energy, with this Leo, you are, but she's urging you to look at the remaining shadows that are preventing you from trusting it all the way. Because in your shadow position, you have the Doctor card. This is the father of the Celtic pantheon, and this is the law card of Divine Mother. And so this is listening to that intuitive voice, the double yin card. This is trusting those desires, trusting the relationships that you're creating enough to act on them, listening to yourself, listening to what Great Mother's saying. This is 3rd quarter moon energy. This is releasing, letting go, forgiving those aspects of yourself that are making you feel that you are not ready to release and be reborn into something new. Your whole situation is changing right now. That solar eclipse in February in your 2nd and 3rd houses in Capricorn, Aquarius, on that cusp, Aquarius, Pisces, moon in the western, really got you to communicating what your values were, really got you to sharing what was really important to you. And in many ways that was new for you to do in such a clear and direct manner, because the sun was in Aquarius, and so that's surprises, sudden changes, abrupt circumstances, changing, energy, and that was in your 2nd house, and so in 3rd house in your sidereal, so you had 2nd, 3rd, with the moon, and 3rd and 2nd with the sun. And so this dance that was going on with this Cancer, Aquarius, Leo, Pisces energy was really, really churning in on the family situation, on, sudden changes and communicating your values. And so that created a situation where some shadows came up, some inconvenient truths came up that you're just now beginning to process, and you're just now beginning to release, let go of, and you're just now beginning to realize that there's a new day on the horizon that you're surrendering to, that you're making the decision to allow to be born into your life. And it's just taking time. Like Great Mother's saying, you see it, but it's just allowing the process to take its own time. Things take their own time. Every season has its own way of coming about and its own way of emerging. We're having a very early spring here in the South, and I'm sweating here, and it's February, even down here, we have a few months of cool, and, every season things change and things get modified in the age that we're living in with this transition from Pisces to the Aquarian age. And, we can't hold on to old expectations, to old conditioning, to old what should on ourselves about things. That's not what it's about at this point. And for you, since you are this Sagittarius Capricorn energy, this really has to do with you surrendering to what you know in a way that sheds light on some inconvenient truths. There's some illusions that are going on that the truth behind the curtain, as in this scene, Total reveals Oz behind the curtain. This is a new moon card, and so this is really making me focus on that partial solar eclipse that just happened. That look at that again and listen to what Great Mother was saying to you, because it's in the center of your reading underneath surrender, and since that's your transformative opportunity, it's going to inform you about how those energies were supporting you to act on your intuition, because Great Mother is saying what you need to release is a tendency not to communicate your values about how you're being reborn as a result of an inconvenient illusion. That was inconvenient for Toto to do that. But they had to know the truth. And once they knew the truth, then they could align with their own personal truth, which was they had what they needed. They didn't really need Oz in the first place, but they did need Oz. Just like we really don't need to come into the rainbow world, but we really do in order to have this sensory experience that helps our soul purify and evolve. This process for you is about trusting that inner wisdom and embodying that inner wisdom. Okay, this is the acknowledge card. There's been some type of abandonment or abuse that you're avoiding. And the One God, One Law Balsamic Moon card is a root chakra card. This is something to do with your birth family. This is something to do with them not appreciating the journey that you're on right now. You have tried to communicate your new values to them. You have had to try to share your rebirth with them. But don't be discouraged. It's one God, one law. Just like when Dorothy returned home back on the farm after the Technicolor Rainbow World Journey in Oz, and she really wasn't seen as a new person who had been reborn. She was still just seen as little Dorothy, and that's what happens. We all have our unique cosmic calculus, and we are all timed to understand things in our own time. And that's the way it's meant to be. We are unique expressions of the Great Mother, Father, God. And so it's not about controlling what other people think or how they appreciate our experience. It's about us experiencing our experience and working with the energies that we are here to work with. So in that process, though, it's still important to acknowledge abandonment and abuse so that you can strengthen your resolve and your resiliency to accept what is with love. And what is that your reading is different from the Pisces moon reading. Great Mother is coming through and telling them that these energies are supporting them in a completely different way. Completely different way. Same moon, same sun, but different energies. And so those energies can feel emotionally, that eighth house, it can feel like a crucible of rebirth. Like we're going through a womb and change and emotional challenge. And it can also feel like, a walk in the park. It just depends on our makeup and how we respond. And so, for you, that's creating this self-doubt, which Great Mother is addressing by saying, no, sweetheart. It's the illusion needs to be acknowledged. That's what needs to be acknowledged for you to assert the will of this power available in this Leo moon. For you, it is supporting you to acknowledge abandonment and abuse. Now, does that mean that it needs to be discussed with your birth family? Maybe for you it does. Maybe for you, this is the first time you're hearing about any of this. It's sufficient that you assert it within yourself. Because remember, you are Sagittarius in the sidereal. And that has to do with higher knowing. You know, it has to do with higher learning, higher spiritual knowing. And so that's sufficient. That's sufficient. That is really more than sufficient, because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that the self-doubt is in the second chakra, which is ruled by Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a masculine sign. And so for you in the sidereal, you have this masculine energy of Sagittarius that is very bountiful, it's very expansive, and you were receiving these downloads right up under this card of acknowledging this abandonment and abuse, and admitting it to yourself is sufficient, because you have already this 8th house energy of Leo, this full moon, this yang, this great father energy. And so you are being charged with so much energy. Everything is in the spiritual before it's in the material. Let me just break it down, what I'm feeling and what this kind of hesitation, and everything is in the spiritual before it's in the material. Everything is inspired before it is acted upon. Everything is unseen before it is seen. Everything is felt before it is acknowledged. And it's something that you have definitely felt. And it is creating this self-doubt in you. It's chiseling away at your confidence. It's chiseling away at your self-esteem in such a way that you're not adequately able to download what you need to be secure. This is the download moon, the balsamic moon. And so since before the partial solar eclipse, which is a new moon eclipse that brings out shadows, these are the shadows that came out for you, Sagittarius, Capricorn Moon people, the 2nd, 3rd house shadows, your values and communicating them. And so this balsamic moon right before that, this is the lunar phase, is a download. And so you were downloading the acknowledgement of this. You were beginning to intuitively understand this 9th house, this higher knowing. Okay, that was coming through. But during that actual period, the downloads were coming through your 2nd house. Okay, and so you were getting an upgrade in your values. You were getting an upgrade in what you treasured and what was important to yourself. In the past, what was important to you was perhaps to hold on to the illusion that you could just overlook the abandonment and abuse. But since this partial solar eclipse that pulled out the shadows of what you truly value from your soul level 2nd house, in that Capricorn, and the tropical and the Aquarius, Pisces being in your 3rd house, you've been communicating those things, and that has been helping you to process what you need to fully acknowledge it. This is in your shadow position of how you're dancing with the action that needs to take place to fully surrender to your rebirthing process. I mean, you're aware that you're rebirthing, but Great Mother's coming through and she's telling you the energies that are here for you to support this process coming through, baby. You know Great Mother knows all about birth. She knows all about resurrection. She knows all about the Holy Sepulchre, the process that we have in this rainbow world to constantly and consistently evolve into our highest and greatest selves, which for you, working with these energies, this Leo full moon will produce the outcome of justice. Justice will be served. Breathe. Relax into it. Get into it. Realize that you do have the power, that yang energy from this Leo full moon, to assert what you know in loving ways. This third eye energy is very prominent for you as well, and you have it in spades, first quarter moon and the new moon. So since that new moon solar eclipse, you've been getting these downloads, and up into the new moon that's coming up, which we see in this balsamic moon period for you, coming back around with this processing and acknowledgement by the first quarter moon, okay, which will be the end of this month of March. You're going to, the first quarter moon is a week after the new moon. And so, yeah, the new moon is going to be around the 14th, 15th, and the week after that be the 21st. That's about the end of the month. That's actions, decisions, facing challenges. You will be by the end of the month, close to the end of the month, maybe not where you had hoped you would be when you were still stuck in the illusion of not acknowledging your power to look the abandonment and abuse in the eye in a way that no longer allows it to chip away at your self-doubt. But because you have surrendered to the process and worked with the supportive energies that Great Mother is sharing with you now, you will realize that the way your rebirth is coming about, or has come about by that time, is exactly the way it needed to. That is your message from Great Mother for this Leo full moon, March 2018. This is the climax, the apex of this eclipse season. And until November, you will be experiencing a reverberation of these energies if you activate them in accordance with what has been shared with you today. If you pay attention to this rebirthing process, you're going to see an expansion in your life in November, based on what you have planted in this early spring of 2018 during this beautiful and bountiful eclipse season for your heart expression and for your true release of groupthink that no longer serves you or what you are here to do. Thank you so much for watching, listening, sharing, liking, all that good stuff. But above all and most of all, remember that Great Mother, she loves you so much. She really wants you to know that you are never alone. Always ask for the guidance, the support that you need. Your angels, your guides are always there. I mean, there are so much here. I know that there's so much there for you because they are just coming through and wanting you to have specific wordings for these messages. And it's just amazing when you connect with them and allow life to be the great adventure that it is. Thank you. Great Mother has spoken. I love you too. Take care.
I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Moon, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole,